Hey, welcome to our next update, which is our August update on everything we did in July, basically. I'm Laura, I'm the director, co-writer at Dreamfield. Eve, do you want to
Uh,
introduce yourself
I'm
first?
Eve. Hi. Yeah, I'm Eve. I am the co-writer and producer for Dreamfield, and yeah, lovely to be here again.
And Bree, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Brie. I work on kind of general Unity stuff and rigging and posing and stuff like that.
Cool. Yeah, we'll jump into it in a second. Like Bree worked on If Fine with us. She came in the summer before we released, and yeah, had like a really like awesome impact on the game. And then last but not leastly, we have Alex who does all our video stuff.
Oh,
And we'll
Um,
edit out all this dead air whenever it happens.
yeah,
yeah.
thank you, Alex.
True, true.
So we will start with like what we did, and then we'll chat Bree about what you do specifically. But we'll just have a general chat about what we did this month. We'll just jump right in. So I think we mentioned in our last update, which was only like 3 weeks ago, maybe it was less. I think we were a bit late with that one. That the script had just been finished, so that was a huge milestone we hit. And actually, I think we're going to start including like little progress bars. So like 100% for script draft 1.0, and now script draft 2.0 is at like 15% maybe, like bzzzt.
Sure.
And but yeah, once you have like kind of the full picture of a game, it's like that's when you can really start shaping it. So I think probably like the comparison with If Fine for this was, I would say like September of 2019 was when we had like a kind of full draft that was, fairly decent. And yeah, so what was working or was not working in script draft 1.0, Eve?
Well, there was one character who definitely didn't work.
Mm.
The the Poochie of our new game.
Yeah, that's what I keep calling poor Lorcan. We added this character who had to be in every single scene, and then when he wasn't in a scene, everyone had to be asking, "Where's Lorcan?" But no, that was because like Lorcan was added like late because we thought we needed this other character, and we had already planned out all the scenes, so we just put him in every scene basically. But
Yep,
yeah, we don't need him. He's gone. No
he's
Poochie.
gone. I think his name still exists maybe for a side character because I quite like the name Lorcan.
Yeah,
But
there'll probably still be a character called Lorcan.
yeah, they will be mostly irrelevant.
Like the interesting thing about this game as compared to If Found, as a little tidbit is, we have a large main cast. It's not like ridiculously big, but there's half a dozen main characters, whereas If Found, okay, Cassio is the main point of view, and you could say, Chance Anu is almost as big, but not really. Whereas with this game, there's six main characters, at least right now, who have almost equal points of view.
It's true. Yeah.
That's a big
Um,
reveal.
yeah, I guess it is. Figuring out how to juggle that and how to make sure that all of those characters have time and space to develop has been a really interesting challenge. We are not quite there yet, but we get closer and closer. So.
I think the other thing that like this like 1.0 draft has let us do is see what areas we need for the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have, since finishing it over July, one of the big story changes was we changed the setting in at least we've kind of like streamlined it rather than every single scene happening somewhere completely different. We are more going to be based around like a kind of central theme of settings, which means we'll get the game done sooner, which is nice. But also, yeah, like thematically, it works a lot better than what we'd been working on. And it goes back to what we planned at the start of the year, the end of last year, I think. Except now we have a really clear sense of how the story progresses. Yeah, that's a big thing. And then on the development front, we're kind of splitting work into three streams, basically, because we're all working on Unity, which is like part of the reason why Brie is here is to help us with Unity and stuff, as well as originally it was like animating and posing, but also Brie can just do so many things. It was just like, oh yeah, help us with this. But the trick with like having lots of people working in Unity is lots of people stepping on each other's toes. and having to redo bits and pieces. So with this latest draft of the script, we find, oh, these scenes are being rewritten now. Like, this implementation isn't exactly what we wanted. So to avoid that going forward, even though our script is getting, like, is fairly tight, besides, like, the writing is going to be changed, we are moving to just having the art be done separately from the white boxing. So we mentioned white boxing before, is where you, like, plan out a level. So our plan is over the rest of this year to white box the entire game. So get it done by December and have everything playable. Except it's going to look horrid. It's going to be all cubes. And then at the same time, our art team will be working on all the environments. And we're not going to worry about meshing those together until next year. That's next year's problem. But it means we can just, like, really, like, the art is going to be, what we expect the environments to work like. But we're not going to be trying to get the mechanics to work, essentially, yet. And then the third stream, so that's 2 streams. The third stream is just polishing the mechanics with, like, one area, basically, where the art is, how it should be. And that's a big change. Yeah, any thoughts on that from a production point of view, Eve?
It's like, it makes a lot of sense, and hopefully it will help to smooth things out. It certainly means that, like, you and I can kind of speed ahead, Llaura, which is nice. Like, just kind of rapidly iterate on various scenes and stuff, and, like, check the script and see how it feels to kind of play that, which is really nice. Because a lot of the time when you write something for games, like, you can write it on the page and it seems fine, and then you play it and you're like, no.
Yeah, so
so it's really nice to,
We finished a build last week, actually, and I didn't think we were going to finish one because I wasn't happy with how the mechanics were working, but we did that thing where we're like, okay, here's just the environments and you can see them and walk through them, which was really nice. And then I just put in the white box as its own little scene, and that white box plays really well. You can see how the cameras work and all the different effects, but it's just ugly, And funny enough, that scene, like, it's not going to exist as it is in game. So, like, if we spend time, putting art in that, and, like, everything would be just wasted time. So yeah, look, I'm looking forward. We're gonna have the first act done this month, I think. So, in terms of white box alpha, here's, like, our next progress bar. We're, like, I'd say, like, 5% done, and hopefully every month we get another 20% done, such that December we have the whole game done. And then next year is working on beta. Programming wise, we have been developing tools and such, and effects and everything. Not much we can talk about. Like, we improved the dialogue tool a lot, and I think while we didn't get it done for last week's build, I think we have it going forward, and you got all the dialogue into that scene afterwards so quickly. Or, like,
it's
how the speech bubbles work specifically.
Yeah, it's a really strong improvement. It will make our lives a lot easier. So thank you, Tim.
So then that's all our development things. Script 2, 15%, and that should go. I don't know, how long do you think that's going to take? I think, like, 3 months or so. We should definitely have that pretty tight.
I think so. I think the way we're planning to do it is a little bit more like, we'll write a scene and then we'll put it into a white box, and then we'll write another scene and put it in. So the script itself might take a bit longer, but it'll also be more polished because each scene will have at least one immediate revision.
So, Bree, I thought it was cool to get you on board. We mentioned you last time. You're back with us now, like, 6 weeks or so, maybe 2 months, close to.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, you used to be with us. You probably did the color of the image that's behind you, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Always.
And for me.
And the color of Eve's one too. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yes. All of that.
So Bree responsible for a lot of the coloring in the game, specifically, like, scenes that were, like, fully colored. Like, the house one was really good. And then you also did lots of Unity for If Found. What else did you do on If Found?
I did nearly pretty much all of the menus and the UI for that.
Yeah. And you did, that we posted on Twitter recently, like 100 different versions of the logo that we didn't end up using.
Oh, so many.
Actually,
so many.
I actually really liked some of them. It's a pity we didn't get to use them.
Yeah. They're very stylish.
And you are very much like a generalist. You can do like a bit of everything. So like I know you through Dublin and through specifically you went to TUD and did games there. So you got like a grounding in game design as well as like, you know, you kind of specialized and did art yourself. What kind of stuff are you interested in doing?
I kind of really enjoy being a generalist. I kind of just like taking whatever's thrown at me and being able to kind of learn whatever I need to and like adapt to different skill sets. Like, cause I personally, I believe that like nearly every part of game development is very interesting to me. So I like to have a hand in whatever.
And in the last day, you were looking into cloths, which is really cool. So we have like very realistic looking cloth that looks awesome.
Yeah, we got some really cool cloth physics right now to add to the cool movement of the scenes and characters.
I mean, like maybe we should just wrap everything in cloth, go like full journey, have like cloth everywhere.
Oh god.
And you also do lots of commissions on online and stuff that we like in between. Like you weren't working with us for a bit, but like yeah, we're happy to have you back.
Yeah, in my personal time, I take commissions on Twitter and stuff. I mostly do like single image characters, or I kind of bounce around, and I've been doing a lot of like Twitch commissions and stuff for people, which is really cool.
Is that like profile pics and like emojis or what?
Like emotes, overlays, any assets needed for Twitch stuff like that.
Cool.
It's been really fun.
So, I mean, I think that's the main things. We had one question to like talk about, I guess, was about how to get into writing in games. Alex, is that correct?
Yeah, that was a question actually that I didn't see in time for our question time last time around. So yeah, that was a question.
I think like Eve, you probably have a lot of good insight on this one.
Yeah, it's oh boy. Like it's hard is the first thing, and it can be very discouraging. There are a lot more talented writers than there are decent paying jobs in games. So the main things I would say are like make your own games, and they don't have to be fancy. Like, you know, use Twine or Renpy or Bitsy. Bitsy is like really good. Highly recommend it. And just try like writing little stories, because you'll learn a lot as well about like pacing and stuff. Pacing in games works super differently to other mediums, so it's definitely good practice. And then like send your CV out a lot. Oh god, sorry, I have so many friends who are game writers and who are like, I don't know,
underemployed.
You know, so talented and so underemployed, and I'm just like, please, I want all of these people to have lovely jobs.
I mean, I think that's like that's like you're talking about something there. It's like, I think, okay, to get the job, like you need to have the material to show for it. You know, there's not necessarily like a games writing degree you can do or anything, you know, and even if you did, what would matter is still like what you can show off it. So it really is what you create. But, you know, I think if you are into games and care about games and writing and such, you know, I think the most important thing is like you creating anyway. So rather than go and work for some AAA company where like you write one character's like backstory or something, you know, just make your own games and put them out there, you know. It's hard to make a living at it, you know. It's hard to make a living in the 21st century, but you don't have to make a living at it to do it if you can, because it also doesn't pay very well, unfortunately. So if you can do it at all, that's a success.
There was a good thread on Twitter recently of like writers talking about where they get their income from, and like some quite famous writers, like writers who win awards and stuff, would be like, yeah, writing's not my day job. You know, I write novels in my free time, and I also do this other thing. And it can be a bit startling if you're just kind of a fan. You're like, oh, I assumed you were making money, and it turns out no, because writers don't make any money.
My favorite game maker and potentially my favorite writer, you know, is Stephen Murphy. And he's making the Off the Killer games at the moment. They're so good. But he sells his games, but he doesn't make a living at it, you know, and he like very self-consciously doesn't want to join the industry and make a living at it in that way. So there are other avenues, you know. Obviously, maybe not as many people are playing his games as are playing Apex Legends. I don't know. I mean, obviously. But yeah, I think if you make art, it's like it's cool to like have a big impact on fewer people.
Capitalism and like our culture in general tends to devalue stuff that is not done for money and like that doesn't make a profit, that isn't seen by tons of people. But there's so much value in all art, and like community-based art is the much more historical and traditional version of art, like art that you make for your friends, for your family. That's how most people in generations past made art. So like there's nothing to be ashamed of, and just like if that's what you can do to tell the stories that you want to tell, you should absolutely do that, and it's very beautiful.
And even if you do want to make a living at it, you still have to start with doing it for free.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
I would say, like, I saw someone on Twitter talk recently about how you shouldn't work for someone who's kind of self-financing, and you know that's like a pretty hot take, but in a lot of ways it's like I think it's like be careful about it, you know, because it's very easy to guilt trip and to get people to work like extra hours and do all this extra stuff, you know, and not pay for it, or like, you know, do it, oh well, do revenue share or something, and it's like,
right,
yeah, just like if you're going to do it, like do it that you own it yourself, you know. So rather than doing it for like Joe Schmo, like if Joe Schmo is sharing it equal with you, okay, cool. But if they're like, oh, I'll pay you 5% of what we make, it's like, yeah, I'll just make my own thing.
Yeah, that is good advice.
Okay.
I thought it was going to be a much spicier take than it actually was.
No,
the actual advice is just don't fall for scammers who are like, please do all my work for me.
And like, I mean, they often like they don't think of themselves as scammers, but
no, it's true.
I was also going to say as well, we also shared a Twitter thread a couple of weeks back of writing resources.
Oh, really?
Stuff to get started in the industry. So I will put those in the show notes.
Yeah, awesome.
For this episode as well, for anyone who's interested. So,
Alex, what's up with you this weather?
And new series potentially starting very soon as well. Kind of like an interview or chat series that we're hoping to kind of get the first episode out next week or the week afterwards. Yeah, it's really exciting to do something to add another like kind of another new format to the YouTube stuff, and yeah, hopefully you'll all enjoy it.
So Amaze was 10 years old, the Berlin Festival. So they had on past winners such as myself. Like I won the grand prize for Curtain. So it was really cool to chat with everyone. And what's really neat about that is like the jury each year, like the person who wins comes back the next year and judges the following year's game. So there's like a real through line. And they definitely pick games outside the norm, you know? Like often indie game space can be very American centric. And Amaze, one of his big focuses is getting just like the sheer highest number of different countries involved as possible. So they do like great stuff reaching out to like various, like they have a really strong connection with South Africa in particular, but like they reach out like just across like the globe to get like developers from different kind of communities, which is cool. And there's obviously a big European focus as well, like continental Europe. So, and then we're nominated for the Igda Awards next month, or this month, it's August, and we were nominated for the GDC Awards, which is very fancy. So we didn't get to sit at the fancy dining tables as if it was in San Francisco. I did that once. I sat with a friend who was nominated for the IGF. It's so strange. And then all the plebs are like in the seats at the back. It's so silly. But it's fun, you know. It's like it's a celebration of like cool indie games and stuff. And speaking of which, Annapurna had their direct last week, which was a really cool celebration. They did a really good lineup. So I'm very excited to see what comes from Annapurna. It's an interesting startup.
Ragtag bunch of publishing.
I wanted to shout out, I was part of a game jam that ran for a couple of months, and it finished last month.
Awesome.
And it was for the Otome Game Jam, and so you can go play it. It is a cute little game called Fated about working in a cafe and dating Shakespeare characters. I had a lot of fun working on it.
And you did the art for it, right?
That's lovely.
I did some of the background art. My friend AK did the character sprites. They are really, really good. And I also wrote one of the characters.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's with the Vow Together
That was
people,
with
right?
Vow, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. Bree, do you have any last shout outs?
No. Go support No Longer Home.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, No
Yeah.
Longer Home is out now,
Good call.
so I'm excited to play it. I mean, I love all of Cell's games and all Hannah's games, and Ellie worked on If Found. Like, they also do great stuff, so three really awesome non-binary game devs. And yeah, they also worked with a bunch of other really rad people and made No Longer Home. I played the demo, and it was really good, so I am excited to play the full thing. And it's so cool to see it come together.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's been a really nice journey, like following the Kickstarter and stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm so proud of them for getting it out.
So if you like, queer games, if you like narrative games, if you love Kentucky Route Zero, there's a lot of Kentucky Route Zero influence in it. But it's definitely its own thing, and it's really, it has like such a like unique sense of space and world, and the characters are just so real. It's two non-binary characters after college being like, what the hell do we do with our lives? Or what happens now?
If you have any answers, I'd like them, please.
I mean, college must be a while ago for you, Eve. I know we're like the millennial generation. We're like still dealing with it.
Yeah, no, college was 10 years ago. Let's not talk about it.
Can I go invisible? Oh my god. Take care, everybody. We'll see you soon. We'll see you in 4 or 5 weeks for the next one.
Sounds good. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.